I will ask for your indulgence here. I don't know if I'll get it, but there's a lot of complicated concepts that I'm having to take on here, and I am going to try to enumerate them in a way that is sensible. But of course, on the surface, what we have is something that doesn't seem to make any sense at all. Look at this story. Maybe you've heard about it already. The story is Jon Stewart and the Pentagon honor Ukrainian Nazi at Disney World. I mean, this sounds like something out of Bizarro World, doesn't it? Yet yeah, our world is Bizarro World, so this is actually completely true. Let's read more about it. This August, that's the month that just went by, at the annual Department of Defense Warrior Games at Disney World in Orlando, Florida, comedian Jon Stewart presented the Heart of the Team Award to a Ukrainian veteran named Ihor Halushka for being a good example for his team. Halushka was a member of the neo-Nazi Azov Battalion, now part of the Ukrainian National Guard and armed by the United States. Well, yeah, all that is true. When he accepted the award, the ultranationalist wore a sleeve over his left arm, probably to hide the tattoo of the Nazi sun wheel or black sun. Okay. So this just seems like a bunch of disparate elements that, shouldn't cohere, that shouldn't belong together, and yet they do belong together. Jon Stewart. First of all, let's start with him. Of course, he is Jewish himself. His real name is Leibowitz. Remember back in the aughts, during the height of his fame, he was, always criticizing Bush and criticizing the war in Iraq. So you would have thought that he was anti-military-industrial complex, but here he is, supported in this Pentagon Department of Defense sponsored event called the Warrior Games, taking place at none other than Disney World. And he gives an award to this guy who's a Nazi. So you have this Jewish, at one time anti-war, anti-deep state comedian, but that was just when Bush was in power. When the Democrats got in power, he showed that he did actually support the deep state and the military-industrial complex. And here he is being the host of this event and honoring this athlete who is a member of the Azov Battalion, and it has a National Socialist tattoo on his elbow. But that something that he wore long sleeves in August in Florida to cover. Okay, since the Pentagon pays for the Warrior Games, it is likely that American taxpayers paid for Ukrainian Nazis like Halushka to travel to Disney World. At least 2 members of a Ukrainian team of injured veteran athletes flown to Orlando, Florida, have been shown to be members of neo-Nazi groups in their home country. They're both members of the fascist groups Right Sector and Azov Battalion. Okay. And there's Walt Disney World. There's the what do they call it? The Golden Castle. Whatever. They are part of 40 Ukrainian veterans participating in the Warrior Games. Darius Rucker, the former lead singer of a glorified bar band, Hootie and the Blowfish. Now that's kind of catty. We don't really need that, do we? Just tell us who he is and the band that he used to be with. You don't have to say they're a glorified bar band. Whatever that means. And liberal comedian Jon Stewart attended this year's ceremony. Okay. Jon Stewart presented Halushka of Azov Battalion with the Heart of the Team Award at the end of the ceremony. The MC said Ihor leads by example, and makes his team laugh with his unique sense of humor. Sergeant First Class Ihor Halushka is a good example of the spirit and drive that make up Team Ukraine. When the Nazi... it's funny, they just refer to him as the Nazi. When the Nazi received his trophy, Stewart shouted, "Ihor!" triumphantly, and then he clicked his feet together and did a Roman salute. No, I'm just kidding. This is absolutely bizarre. But this is the world in which we live today. You would not think that somebody like Jon Stewart would want to have anything at all to do with the Pentagon. Would not have anything to do with the Department of Defense. You would think that he, as a proud Jew, would not want to shake hands with a Nazi. but you'd be wrong on all counts. And this is all hosted at Disney World. Okay, let's see if they say anything else interesting here. All right. Now, of course, this is okay. When the gray zone. So this was one news group that I think actually looked a little closer into this story. Most of the mainstream media just said, nah, not important. Let's talk about Trump a little more, or something like that. But when the Gray Zone called Warrior Games Communications Director Travis Clater, he would not say who paid for the travel expenses of Team Ukraine and other foreign participants. He only said that the Department of Defense was not responsible for the costs. However, the relationship with each team is different. All right, nice dancing around the question there. But you can bet that it was ultimately us, you and me, the taxpayers, who paid for this event. Okay, so the only foreign teams in this year's competition are from Ukraine and Canada. It doesn't seem like all that much of an event if it's just two countries. Oh, I guess the United States participated as well. So the U.S., Ukraine, and Canada, the only three countries that took part in these Warrior Games. Okay, so yes, Bizarro World. A Jewish comedian, supposedly anti-war, supposedly anti-military-industrial complex. At least he preened as such during the Bush years, during the years of the Iraq War. Now that now that the enemy is Russia and the ally is Ukraine, whose armed forces are chock full of National Socialist types. You've got him shaking hands with this dude. We haven't heard anything, by the way. I don't think anyone's put a microphone in Jon Stewart's face and said, "Hey, Leibowitz, why were you? You know that guy you shook hands with? You know what ideology he supports? How do you feel about shaking hands with him now? Did you know who he was?" I don't think that's happened, because the media doesn't do those kinds of things. The media is docile and just does what they're told. The media is controlled. All right, so let's go back to the first picture here. And there he is shaking the guy's hand. And his elbow is covered. And it's on his elbow that he has. You can look this guy up and see that he's got the Black Sun insignia there. Okay, so this all would not seem to make any sense at all whatsoever. But I want to refer you to an earlier video that I recorded, which goes under the title, I think, the end of the Cold War unleashed a monster in the West. Now, I recorded that video after seeing this interview with Jason Giorgiani, who's a very interesting speaker, and he had some interesting things to say about Operation Paperclip and how many of the high-ranking, like German, but not just German, like people, like very ideologically devoted to National Socialism, including Werner von Braun, the head of this, who became the head of the space program. That was Operation Paperclip. They said, we want to bring these people over because they're brilliant and they can help us create the nuclear. Well, I guess they already had the nuclear. They already had nuclear weaponry, but they could help us just in our effort in the Cold War against Russia. So you had, and I go into more detail about this in that video. And so what you really had, if what Giorgiani is saying is true, and I'm not necessarily verifying any of this, but it makes a certain type of sense, is what I would say. That up to the end of the Cold War, you didn't really have that much of a problem with ideological subversion from the media. You didn't have commercials that were mocking white men all the time. You didn't have TV shows that were showing, that were, or you didn't have every other couple shown on a TV commercial being a gay couple, and you didn't have every white father looking stupid, it was a more, you had shows like Growing Pains and Family Ties, and even the Cosby Show. I know they were black, but they were basically white. I know that sounds bad to say, but I mean they were basically, a highly functional, family where the mother and father were together and they had a ton of kids and everybody was happy. It wasn't really true to the typical black family experience of the time, but so the point is you had these kinds of sitcoms and commercials and movies and other things promoting the people, promoting the wholesome notions about the people the United States citizenry, and it wasn't until after the Cold War that suddenly you have the media and the military-industrial complex attacking the citizenry and saying you're all just a bunch of domestic terrorists and Nazis, which is ironic. And it doesn't seem to make any sense. It seems quite self-contradictory to say, you Trump supporters are all just a bunch of Nazis, and you just won't admit to it, but you're really just Nazis. Meanwhile, here we are avidly supporting, when we're not avidly supporting a group like ISIS, who is this radical Muslim terrorist group, where we want them to overthrow Assad in Syria. When we're not supporting a group like that, we're supporting Ukrainian Nazis like the Azov Battalion and Right Sector, and we're putting our Jewish comedians out at Disney World to host these events and shake the hand. There they are, shaking hands with real, actual Nazis. So what I'm saying, if you want to, I'm not going to go into detail about it again, but if you want to check out what I had to say in that earlier interview, I do propose an idea that I think has some merit. At least it makes certain things that don't seem to make much sense. It makes them make more sense. So I will be sure to include that video in the description below. So scroll down to the description and you'll see the link to that earlier video that I did about the interview I saw with Jason Giorgiani concerning Operation Paperclip. So I just wanted to remark about this, and because it's certainly remarkable. Let me know what you think, if you care to. My name's Andy Nowicki, and you can check out my work at altrightnovelist.com, or find me at Amazon. Find my fiction and nonfiction books at amazon.com. Thanks for watching.